This episode of Underground Reggie is brought to you by the IamMen.com. Music, sports, and entertainment news from IamMen Media. Follow the IamMen on Instagram at IamMen.media. During the Industrial Revolution, there was widespread replacement of manual labor by machines, which began in Britain in the 18th century. The Industrial Revolution was the result of many fundamental changes that transformed many agricultural countries into industrial countries. On today's episode of Underground Reggie, we talk about the Industrial Revolution. Today is January 22nd, 2020, and I'm your host, Rico Banks. The most drastic change was production. Goods that usually were made in the home or in small workshops began to be produced and manufactured in the factory. Productivity and technical efficiency grew dramatically in part to scientific and practical knowledge of the manufacturing process. Efficiency was also enhanced when large groups of business enterprises began to be located within the small limited areas, and they began to form corporations as these enterprises merged with one another. The Industrial Revolution led to growth of cities as people moved from rural areas into urban communities in search of work. The changes brought by the Industrial Revolution overturned not only traditional economies, but also whole societies. Economic changes caused a lot of social changes, including the movement of people to cities, the availability of a greater variety of material goods, and new ways of doing business. The Industrial Revolution was the first step towards modern economic growth and development. Economic development combined with superior military technology to make the nations of Europe and their cultural offsets such as the United States the most powerful in the world in the 18th and 19th centuries. The Industrial Revolution began in Great Britain during the last half of the 18th century and spread through regions of Europe and the United States during the following century. Today, production and modern economic growth continue to spread to new areas of the world, but still much of the world has yet to experience the changes typical of the Industrial Revolution. Over the course of human history, there has been one other group of changes as significant as the Industrial Revolution, and that took place during the Stone Age. The Industrial Revolution brought a shift from agricultural societies to modern industrial societies. Coming up next on Underground Reggie, we talk more about the Industrial Revolution. The social changes brought about by the Industrial Revolution were significant. The overall amount of goods and services produced expanded, and the proportion of money invested per worker grew domestically. New groups of investors and businessmen took financial risks and reaped great rewards. In the long run, the Industrial Revolution has brought economic improvement for most people in industrialized societies. Many enjoy greater prosperity and improved health, especially those in the middle and upper classes of society. This hasn't come without cost, however. In some cases, the lower classes of society has suffered economically. Industrialization has brought factory pollutants and greater land use, which has harmed the environment. The application of machinery and science to agriculture has led to greater land use and therefore extensive loss of habitats for animals and plants. In addition, drastic population growth following industrialization has contributed to the decline of natural habitats and resources. These factors in turn have caused many species to become extinct or endangered. Thanks for listening to another episode of Underground Reggie. I'm your host, Rico Banks. Make sure you follow the IamMen on Instagram at IamMen.media. We'll be back for another episode soon. Stay tuned.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.